Hello everyone, so here it comes, my 10th video on Introduction to Budo 1938 Manual Techniques. My initial plan was to make few introductory techniques to familiarize you with my work and then to film over time the complete set of Budo techniques. Unfortunately, I did not have such an opportunity, but I've been able to publish 1/5 of the total techniques of Budo manual over a few years, and those I consider the most important ones. For my 10th video occasion, I wanted to finish my introduction to Budo program with some more advanced and rare technique from the manual. So I chose and producing today for you a Kokyu Nage technique. Please enjoy watching. Kokyu Nage techniques are at the heart of advanced Aikido practice, or actual application practice. Because Aikido is deeply rooted in Budo, it becomes essential to be able to deal with multiple attackers, or armed attackers. This is a reality of real-world self-defense. One must never forget this. Therefore, dealing with your attackers instantly becomes an essential part of Budo training. To succeed in this, your irimi must be like lightning, your atemi must be like thunder. But above all, well-developed Kokyu power is absolute necessity in Aikido. Without Kokyu development, you won't be able to strike attackers down with one strike, or pin or throw instantly. In fact, you might freeze in the face of real danger, and won't be able to do anything. Learning techniques alone is not enough. Developing warrior spirit is a must. Breath power, Kokyu must be forged in daily practice. So as real Budo practice must include ways of dealing with the multiple attackers. Almost entire curriculum of pinning techniques, joint manipulation techniques becomes unapplicable. You cannot expect your attackers line up waiting for their turn, while you ikkyo, nikkyo, shironage around them one after another. Those techniques are for different scenarios and purposes. So it becomes essential to deal with your attackers in an instant. For this, your irimi, atemi and kokyu has to be well developed. Founder reportedly has said that in actual fighting, atemi is 90% of the techniques. So how come we don't see kicks and punches in Aikido demonstrations? Because daily practice demonstrations is for different purposes. Look at it this way. There is no atemi without irimi. Irimi and atemi works in unison. And then, from safe angle, you must employ some swift Kokyu move to knock him down under your feet or throw away instantly, to be ready for the next attackers. You don't have the privilege to waste time and opportunities in real-world violent life or death situations. So it all comes down to irimi and atemi, or irimi and kokyu waza, and then decisive strike. That's why there is a saying, in real-world fighting, atemi striking is 90% of the techniques. O-sensei was absolutely on point when he wrote in his book that Kokyu Nage are the most numerous and important techniques in Aikido, and if they were to be removed from the art, it would no longer be worthy of being called Aikido. He also said that Kokyu Nage are the most effective techniques to be used in actual fighting situations, and without Kokyu, Aikido is like sumo without strength. So Kokyu Nage is at the heart of Aikido as martial art. There are numerous Kokyu Nage in curriculum from warrior situations, and there are basic, intermediate and advanced ways of doing them. And then new variations of the techniques must emerge according to the situation. Really, there are countless variations in the highest levels of the practice. That's the Kemusaiki level, of which founder talked often about. In founder's 1938 Budo manual, we can find only few Kokyu Nage examples. This is because Budo manual was meant as an aid for practitioners' daily training in basic techniques. So naturally, there are only few of these in the manual. In fact, founder would not teach Kokyu Nage on a daily basis. This is not right progression in learning the art. One must go through stages of hard training, starting with lots of Sowari waza, Hanmi Handachi waza, lots of Shihonage, lots of Ikkyo, Kokyu dosa practice, and only then progress into flowing techniques, Kokyu Nage techniques, weapons. But nowadays people practice any way they please. Founder would scold severely if he saw somebody doing kinonagari or Kokyu Nage techniques or weapon techniques without his approval. He would say things like, "You cannot hold a sword until you are well trained," or "You cannot do kinanagare flowing techniques until you are sandan." And then he would not approve Kokyu Nage practice, saying, "You cannot expect to throw somebody like that." He knew his students' level. For Kokyu Nage to work, one must develop strong Kokyu first. There are no shortcuts. It's in the name itself, Kokyu Nage, breath, life force throws. In fact, all techniques in Aikido are breath throws, or breath pins, or breath strikes. Kokyu is present in all techniques. Aikido without Kokyu is just a dance. Nothing makes sense and nothing really works. Kokyu is not simply about timing, inhalation, exhalation, or twisting the hips. Kokyu development is what makes your Aikido dead or alive. It involves cultivating life-giving and sustaining force, and learning to extend it, and then using it for martial arts purposes, and at the highest levels for spiritual development purposes. Aikido is not judo, not sambo. It is 100% internal martial art, with strong spiritual development emphasis. It's what it is. It's not what you want it to be. So let's get back to Buddha Manual and explore a Kokyu Nage technique example. We have few of these available in the chapter called Training in Aikido, and then some more in chapter called Training in Rear Techniques. For Kokyu Nage techniques demonstrations, Gozo Shoda Sensei was serving as a nuke for the founder. Interestingly, even though Kokyu Nage techniques are very important, there is almost no instructions provided for them. There is only one short note saying that through virtue of training, Aiki is acquired naturally, and that precise instructions must be imparted orally. Then we are provided with technique number 18. We have 2 pictures and a note saying, "When your opponent grabs your wrist." There's nothing more. The technique seems to be unfamiliar. How can we possibly recreate a technique only from this? After analyzing the pictures more, we can ascertain that uke and nage are in different locations in the dojo. This is a good indicator that these are actually different techniques, and I found it to be precisely the case. You just cannot switch from this extended position to this. It makes little sense, and I've tested it well. This has to be a different technique from Katate Dori. Well, I have good ideas on how to do it this one, but I need to do some more testing. So all we really have is this one picture. This was one of the final techniques from the Buddha Manual that I have succeeded in recreating. Now, if we would check Saito Sensei's take on it, we see that Sensei performed it like that, simply bending the wrist down and pushing to throw. In Sensei's second attempt to recreate this technique, Sensei did it more in accordance to the 2 pictures provided, and pinned the uke down like this. So it is confusing. Now let's explore this shot in more detail. So this is clearly a technique against the wrist grab. Then we see that O-sensei has moved a little towards the uke, locking his arm straight and setting his body weight on the rear leg, thus unbalancing him. Now, how is it possible to lock your opponent's arm straight and control his whole body? Simply moving forward and extending Tagatana won't work well. I'm sure of it. I have tested it many times. The only way to do it is through this Kokyu method. This locks his body, and then it becomes possible to set him on the rear leg. This ties back nicely with the principles of executing Shōnage and other techniques that I have explained in my earlier video. So we have the attack, the locking method, and setting in position method. The question is, what comes after this? Because as I have explained, one cannot just pull the uke down from this extended position. I'm sure of it. These 2 shots are from different techniques, no doubt. So clearly, from this distance and setting, this has to be a throwing technique. But which one? I must give credit for Saito Sensei. Without his legacy, it would not be possible for me to recreate this technique fully. This is because this Kokyu Nage form hasn't been preserved by any of the other disciples of O-sensei. Well, at least not that I know of. In Iwamori tradition, this technique looks like this. Saito Sensei gave commentary about it, saying that O-sensei sometimes would demonstrate it, but he added that only O-sensei could really do it. So we have overall form of the technique. But is it entirely accurate? I firmly believe it is not. One absolutely cannot perform a throw directly from this position, while uke keeps standing strong on his both legs. From the static grab, you need a method to take his balance first and lock him into an unstable position from which you can execute a throw. Saito Sensei had been teaching it in this way, by simply flipping the palm downward and then proceeding with the throw. But this has to be inaccurate. One cannot take uke's balance only by this movement, as I have also explained this in my Shivonage video. One must turn Tagetana sideways with a screwing motion while exerting Kokyu power in order to lock his arm. Flipping the hand downward doesn't achieve this effect. So we do it like this. First apply Kokyu and lock his arm, and only from there it becomes easy to set him for a throw. Please notice how this neatly sets uke into a throwing position. All I had instructed my partner was to grab my wrist. I was happy that all worked just fine. Then I knew that I got it just right. Even though it looks like as a simple easy technique, but actually it is not so. Because from these static grabs, your movement has to be correct, precise, and most importantly, there has to be at least minimal development in Kokyu, because it is hard to control your opponent's whole body through your extended arm alone. So correct movement plus Kokyu extension, then it becomes easy, becomes possible. Saito Sensei called it the highest level technique. So combining overall form from Iwama Ryu tradition, using provided picture and some testing, I've been able to recreate it fully. Now, after setting your uke in throwing position, Nage must thrust slightly forward while exerting Kokyu power, and your uke is thrown easily. I excluded demonstrating actual throwing because my uke is not experienced in taking the fall safely, nor we had sufficient space for that. I found that Daitori practitioners has a version of this technique, but I don't believe it's accurate or practical. But that's my opinion. Let's leave it there. So this is my 10th video exploring techniques of the founder. Hopefully you enjoyed and benefited from this, as well as my other videos. As for this day, I must confirm that there are no significant changes, corrections in any of my published Budo techniques. This means it further strengthens the chances that they are all correctly recreated, because I never truly stopped revisiting them or examining them over the years. But I must mention that I have made several corrections on some of the other techniques from the manual, as my understanding grew even more. And if I ever will find that there is any mistakes in my published techniques, I will correct them as soon as I can. Now I would like to repeat for you again my major conclusions from my Budo manual study. First, the manual has been poorly organized. It's beyond doubt that it was not O-sensei who actually edited the book. Therefore, there are numerous mistakes in organizing technical sequences. The same is true with provided instructions too. Second, actual techniques from the manual has been poorly understood, even by such Aikido giants as Saito Sensei. Other teachers didn't even bother in taking this task. Third, techniques portrayed in the manual are already perfectly developed and modern. There are already no techniques in it exclusive, specific for Aikijujutsu. I mean, multiple limb control pins, finger locks, one-armed self-defense, things like that. So we might conclude that starting from late pre-war, founder's basic Aikido curriculum has already been formalized, and there hasn't been any significant changes since. Most techniques, if not all, found in the manual can be found in founder's post-war students' teaching curriculums, though with varied accuracy. So Budo manual is an important document documenting this truth, therefore should be valued and studied from. I would like to address another thing. I believe I succeeded demonstrating with my work that it is possible, by studying old documents like Buddha Manual, to successfully restore authentic teachings and techniques. In the right hands, documents becomes a treasure, and there are a lot of treasures yet to be released for the public. Documents like Noma Dojo Complete Collection, Soden Techniques, Founder's 1952 Wakayama Photoshoot, Admiral Takeshita's Training Diary, and much more. In the right hands, these documents, any of them, would greatly benefit Aikido community, sincere seekers of the path. Hopefully I will live long enough to see this day coming. So I believe I made a good introduction program on the true techniques of Buddha 1938 manual. Currently, I don't have plans to keep filming more techniques from the book, well, unless I will find an opportunity to film complete set of techniques. For my next video, I'm planning to do something differently. I would like to film a complete set of Kokyu Dosa techniques. This alone would include 4 techniques from Buddha manual, so I'm not finished with the Buddha techniques just yet. At least this is what I'm planning. We'll see. So as for now, I'm truly happy being able to publish all these 10 videos, so the essence of my work wouldn't be lost. I hope my humble work will benefit Aikido community development. That's something I have always felt a duty to do. I'm not saying goodbye, I'm saying till the next time. And wish everybody safe and fruitful practice. Thank you for watching.